their course of study. So I think yes, there are few of them like that, but some of them, they are not really enthusiastic at all about farming.
Yes, the reason why the average Nigerian youth studying agriculture is not enthusiastic about it is because they've not been shown a picture of possibility. And that's part of the reason, like I mentioned to you earlier, that's part of the reasons why I do this podcast. I want people to be able to see people that are doing agriculture, young people that are thriving, right? And so they have a reference to say, okay, if I take this agriculture that I'm studying seriously, there's a place for me to make money with it. Agriculture has gone beyond cutlass and hoes, where people typically, when they think about agriculture, it's just a case of drudgery. It's a case of, too much labor. There's labor, but a lot of things has changed, has been mechanized. Even the whole greenhouse farming thing. There are some agricultural students, probably in their fourth or fifth year, that have never seen a greenhouse. They've
True,
never.
true.
There are some agricultural students that have never seen a tractor. They've never seen a ridge maker. They are just used to cutlass and hoe, clearing weeds. That's all. Some people have never even seen, even now, because last week I was talking to Mr. Femi Adekoya, the man that does aerial precision. There are people that have not seen that you can use drone to apply fertilizer or even herbicides on your farm. They are used to knapsack, but we've gone past knapsack. So I think that it's
True.
part of those things that we would address as younger people, much more than just saying things with words. But if we give people the opportunity to see practicality, see results, see evidence, the kinds of things that people like you are creating, regardless of the space where you are, then people will then be keen about it. But we have to be patient with them.
Of course, of course.
Fantastic. All right, Mr. Samuel Ogbe, it is such a delight to have you here this morning. And before we proceed into like the
Thank
conversation today, I would just like to read out your bio so that our audience can, sort of have a feel of who we have on the podcast today and get to just know you. So Mr. Samuel Ogbe is a passionate vegetable farmer and agricultural consultant with over 5 years of hands-on experience in greenhouse and open field cultivation of tomatoes, pepper, cucumber, cabbage, and lettuce. He specializes in sustainable agriculture, integrated pest management, and climate-smart practices and youth empowerment. He is the founder of Farm Natics, a registered agro-business focused on promoting food security in Africa, mentoring youth in sustainable farming. Samuel works aligns with key UN Sustainable Development Goal, including zero hunger, no poverty, and decent work. He holds a bachelor's degree in botany from Delta State University, Abraka, and combines a scientific background with practical experience to drive impact. Outside of agriculture, Samuel enjoys food photography, herb gardening, playing Scrabble, and is also a skilled pastry maker. To date, he has trained over 200 Nigerian youths in sustainable vegetable production. He has also consulted for 11 farms across southwest and north central Nigeria, helping improve productivity and adapt to climate resilient practices. With that being said, welcome, Mr. Samuel. It's good to have you in the studio today.
thank you very much.
Fantastic. So, just knowing that your background is in botany, and I know that botany is more tilted towards like plant science, right? So, what inspired you to
Yes.
then sort of want to focus on agriculture, specifically greenhouse farming and like open field farming? What inspired you to go into that?
Hello?
Okay.
I think you're muted.
Okay, Mr. Samuel, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yes, I was saying that your background, your academic background is in botany, that you acquired from Abraka, that's Delta State University.
Yeah,
And botany is typically like the science of understanding like plants, right? And it's not tilted in
yes.
one specific direction. It's like very broad. There's horticulture, there are different things.
It's good.
So my
Yes.
question is, Why
Yes.
exactly did you decide to then focus more on greenhouse farming and open field farming? What necessitated that interest towards that area?
Okay. Personally, for me, I didn't want to study botany. I don't even understand how I got into botany. I put into studying microbiology. Unfortunately, I was screened out during the screening process, and I had to fight for a department or lose my admission. And the only option I had then was to study botany. So I just filled in, at least let me get the what is it called? Sorry, a minute.
It's just interesting to hear that he did not want to study botany. Okay, okay, he's back. Welcome.
Yeah, so I I had to go there, and my first 2 years there was I was struggling to basically understand, like, why am I studying botany? What is my business with plants? Even right from secondary school, I didn't like anything agriculture. I didn't do it. I didn't want to do it. Fortunately for me, I found myself in botany. I graduated, but I didn't have. I think my interest then was tilted towards pathology, because I did my project on the in vitro antifungal potentials of rhizome extracts of turmeric on Penicillium digitatum. So I wanted to work in the lab, more like creating pesticides or stuff that is going to help cure most of this post-harvest losses caused by all of these microorganisms. But somehow, due to fate, I got a job. I got a job as a salesperson to sell vegetable seeds to farmers. And as a technical salesperson, I had to have this knowledge of farming. I had to have the knowledge, because when I'm selling seed, I need to be able to advise my customers, oh, do this, sow it this way, do it this way. So basically, I learned for 6 months in one of the best and biggest greenhouse in Ogun State on how to grow vegetables in the greenhouse, specifically tomatoes. And I was transferred to Jos. Since then, I started doing my own gardening at home. I started from gardening. I gardened, I planted tomatoes, I planted rosemary, what was it called, mulberry, and some of those other stuff. And since then, I've grown to be the person I am today. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. It's just interesting to see that what started out as something you were not necessarily interested in terms of like the course that you studied has now sort of shaped your career path. And another thing is also your willingness to then just take it beyond just the job, but wanting to get like practical, hands on it. So my next question to you is, for someone that is listening to this call today, because we're talking about mastering plant nutrition for sustainable vegetable farming. For someone that's listening on this call today, that isn't conversant with what plant nutrition is, what exactly is plant nutrition, and why is it crucial for sustainable vegetable farming?
Well, plant nutrition, and I would say two things. There are two major things in vegetable farming: plant nutrition and pest management. Those are like the core of vegetable cultivation. And now, plant nutrition is basically the process in which plants uptake and utilize nutrients, essential nutrients for their growth and reproduction. So, plant nutrition is
Okay, all right. So I think he's having a bit of network glitch, so just be patient with us. But however, it's just interesting to see that he started out, on the from a background. Okay, welcome back.
yeah, sorry, the network took me out. So,
Yeah.
like I was saying, basically, plant nutrition is more like the core of vegetable cultivation. It helps provide the plant with healthy growth. It helps improve fruit quality and also help boost food security in our dear nation.
Wow, that's really, really beautiful. So, from your bio, we read and we see that you are very keen in like tomatoes farming, cabbage, lettuce, more vegetable farming. So, from your own experience, what are like the key nutrients that every vegetable needs, and how does this deficiency in these nutrients typically show up in the farm?
Okay, in plant nutrition, we have two major kind of nutrients. We have the macronutrients and the micronutrients. Basically, the macronutrients are nutrients needed by the plants in large quantity, and the micro, they are nutrients needed by the plants in, what is it called, in small quantity. Now, for the macronutrients, we have the nitrogen, we have phosphorus, we have potassium, we have magnesium, we have calcium, and I think we have sulfur. But the most common one is the NPK. I'm sure you've heard of NPK. When farmers will say, I'm going to buy NPK,
Yes, yes,
this and
fertilizers, yes,
the N stands for nitrogen, the P phosphorus, and the
nitrogen,
K potassium. So those
yeah,
are the macronutrients. Then for the micronutrients, we have these are the ones needed by plants in small quantities. We have the zinc, iron, copper, manganese, molybdenum, and what was it called? Boron. Those are some of the micronutrients needed by the plant. And you asked about how we know that we identify the deficiencies on the plant. For
yeah,
nitrogen, okay, let me just highlight, basically, I'll just highlight their functions, the functions of each of these nutrients. Nitrogen basically helps with the overall growth and the growing of the plants. That's the plant
mm,
vigor itself. And the way to know that I have my plants are nitrogen deficient is that one, the growth is going to be stunted, and the
mm,
older leaves are going to be turning yellow. We are going to have yellowing of the older leaves.
yeah,
Then for phosphorus, what it does to the plant is that it helps with root development, flower and fruit production. And one of the deficiency symptoms of phosphorus deficiency is of phosphorus is the leaves start turning purple. The older leaves, they start turning purple, and also the root development is going to be very poor. So you have stunted growth. Potassium helps enhance fruit quality, and it also boosts the plant resistance to disease. So the way we know that our plants are having potassium deficiency is that the tip of the leaf will turn brown, more like tip bone, but it's not, it's brownish. It's going to turn brown. If I see my leaf turning brown and my fruits are deformed or they are not growing well, or the plants are easily affected by diseases, I know, okay, this plant is having potassium deficiency. For calcium, calcium helps to improve the cell wall, especially for fruits like bell peppers, tomatoes. It helps to improve the cell wall. And one of the ways to know that, okay, my plants are having calcium deficiency is the fruit. There's what is called blossom end rot. It's a
mm.
situation where the fruit, underneath the fruit, I think I have one here. Okay, this is it. This is a symptom of blossom.
Wow,
So you can see the fruit.
wow,
Yeah,
that patches, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So this part is called the blossom. So
ooh,
it's getting rotted, and it has reduced
mm,
the quality of this fruit. So it's
yes,
one way to know that, okay, my plants are having calcium deficiency. Then for magnesium, magnesium helps in photosynthesis and chlorophyll formation. So
mm,
another way to know that my plants
wow,
are having magnesium deficiency is that they have intervenial chlorosis. I don't have anything here, like I would have shown you. They have intervenial
mm,
chlorosis of the older leaf. What I mean by intervenial chlorosis, because if you look at a leaf carefully, there are veins, all of those things we draw when we're in school. All those leaves, they'll say draw leaf, you start drawing
yeah.
all of those things. Look at the
The
veins of
veins
the
of
leaf.
the veins you see within the
Yes,
leaf,
so
yes,
in between the veins or between the veins, you start seeing the what's it called? The leaves turning yellow. So that is interventional
yeah,
fluorosis of the older leaf. What else have I not
wow,
touched on? Sulfur. I think sulfur helps in protein formation. Um, I
mm,
remember the way to identify the a plant that is deficient of calcium, of sulfur rather.
Mhm.
Then we have iron. Iron also help in protein photosynthesis and chlorophyll synthesis because it helps in the greening of the plant too. And one of the deficiency symptom of iron is that the younger leaves are going to start having intervenial chlorosis. You remember magnesium? I said the older leaves
Yes.
having intervenial
Yes.
chlorosis. For iron, it is the younger leaves. That's the leaves at the apex of the plant. They'll start
Yeah.
having intervenial chlorosis. They'll start turning yellowish. Then we have zinc. The zinc help in hormone production. We have molybdenum. It helps the plant to efficiently utilize nitrogen. It helps the plant to efficiently utilize nitrogen. So when it is
To absorb
deficient,
properly.
yeah, when it is deficient, you start seeing yellow in two of the leaves.
Wow.
Those are some of the deficiency symptoms and functions of the nutrients.
Wow. That's really, really good. Really good. And I think that ultimately, if these things are not checked, it affects like the fruiting of the plant, or even like in terms of even if the fruits, they won't fruit well, the size, the durability, even the taste. I'm just assuming that those things are also
No, no,
like the aftermath.
you're right, because if a plant is not, see, I tell people, especially people I'm training, plants are living things. They are like humans. If you don't eat well, it's going to show in your body, on your body, your skin, your everything is going to show that okay, this person is lacking nitrogen. For instance, now you're not eating well, and we know carbohydrates helps with energy. You will not have
Yeah.
the strength to do work. You very weak. The same thing, the same way carbohydrate is to humans, that's the same way nitrogen is to plants. Nitrogen is
Mm,
just it's responsible for the overall vigor of the plant, the overall
wow.
green strength of the plant. Also the same way I would say for protein, as protein for humans is the way what is it called, phosphorus and potassium is to plants. So all of these things are very important. If one of them is not available, it's going to affect productivity and also the
Mm,
quality of the fruits.
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that insight with us. So my very next question to you is, in your own experience, what are like the most common plant nutrition mistake that you have observed small holder farmers make, and how can they sort of correct that?
Hmm. Okay, I've been privileged to work with some of the older farmers and smallhold farmers here on the plateau, especially Panshi, Bokos, and Barikiladi. And one of the common mistakes they make is they feed their plants with fertilizer or nutrients once a month. And I was asking one of these farmers the other days, if they give you food to eat once in a month, are you going to be okay? It was like, no. Then why are you feeding your plants once in a month? Now I'm going to give an illustration. Before I trained those farmers, then they were having an average of maybe 20 tomato fruits per plant. They water once a week, sometimes two times in a week, and they feed their plants with nutrients once in a month. And they're having 20 to 30 fruits. The highest one said they had gotten is 30 fruit per plant. But after my training and I was showing them how to grow tomatoes sustainably, they started having up to 124 fruits per plant. You can see the difference in fruit number from 20 to 30
That's
to
4x. Wow,
yeah to the
that's a lot. So guys, just bear with us. I think he's having a bit of network glitch, but he'll join us, like he'll join us shortly. But it's just interesting to just hear him share about how important plant nutrition is, and him just making that reference to regular human nutrition as well. Okay, welcome back.
sorry, I'm on the farm, so the internet is bad here.
I understand.
So after my demonstration farm and training, they were having 90 to 124 fruits per plant, which is a lot for people having 20 to 30 fruits per plant. So um, one of the common mistake they make is that they don't give nutrients as and when due. They give once in a month, and also they water twice a week. No matter the quantity of nutrients you give to these plants, if there is no water in the soil, if the soil is not moist, the plant will be unable to uptake these nutrients. Imagine the plant suffering. They are suffering
Yes.
from nutrient deficiency, and they're also suffering from water deficiency. They are not getting both of this. So we are not maximizing production in the country with this kind of farming technique. We are not maximizing production. And also, like I said, I mentioned a list of different nutrients needed by the plant, macro and
Yes.
micro. These farmers
Yes.
only give NPK. They only give NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And we've transcended beyond the era of just giving plants NPK. There are still other things,
Mm,
just like humans. Imagine taking only carbohydrate and protein every day. You're not going to get the kind of nutrients you need to live a healthy lifestyle. That's why most people take supplements, they take fruit for vitamins and the likes. So most of these smallholder farmers, they don't feed their plants with these things. So they are deficient of these things, and it is affecting production, and it's also affecting food security in our country. Because if you're not growing your food sustainably, if you're not getting good yield, if your production is very small, definitely the yield is going to be very small, and the country is still going to be food insecure. So these are some of the common mistakes: feeding irregularly, poor watering or irrigation technique, and also most of the time, some farmers, now I spoke about not giving fertilizer when as and when due. Some of them overly apply this fertilizer. They feel, okay, if I pack the fertilizer in the soil, if I give it enough fertilizer, the plant is going to grow well. What happens is that it's going to affect the environment. It's going to reduce the quality of the fruits. Most of those fruits now, for instance, this is a healthy bell pepper fruit. This one,
oh wow, it looks really
assuming the
juicy.
farmer now is doing his fertigation or nutrient plan very well, you have something as healthy as this. Why some of
Yeah.
them, if they take it to the market, it will go shrink like this. See this one now, it has lost its market quality because
Mm,
overly application of this fertilizer reduces the shelf life of the fruit.
wow.
Reduces the shelf life of the fruit. So it's always advised that these things are done in moderation. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And I like the fact that you came in very hands-on, just bringing fruits to just show our audience to help them see the practicality of these things. As reading your bio, you're a very hands-on person, and it's evident even in this interaction with you today. And you were talking about a bit about soil health. So let's delve in more to that. Um, from what you've just shared, do you think that there is a need for farmers to sort of assess like their soil health, the nutrient level before planting, especially when they lack access to like local or formal soil testing labs? Is there a need to actually carry out like a soil test or a nutrient evaluation of the soil before embarking on farming for
Of course,
vegetable?
of course. Unfortunately, providing farmers with soil testing kits is the work of the government, but unfortunately, they've been able to play this role effectively and efficiently, because I don't know how they expect these local farmers, because we know that the local farmers are the ones feeding the nation. They are the ones growing food in bulk. And these same people, they don't have access to a good soil lab or farm kits, soil testing kits. Now, the other day we did soil test, and it cost us, I think, over 120,000 to do soil test. How many of these local farmers will bring out that kind of money to go and do soil test? What they do is they just fortify their soil with different things that may or not be needed. For instance, I I went to a farm the other day. I was speaking with a farmer. I went to his farm, and I saw him applying lime. There's what is called agricultural lime, not the lime we lick. It's called calcium carbonate. He was just applying it to his soil, and I was asking him, Oga, did you do soil test? Why are you applying lime? He said, no, no, no. The lime, they help the soil, they help and do it, they help and do this and that. I said, no. What if the soil now, when you lime the soil, you lime soil when the soil is too acidic.
Yes.
Want to increase the temperature of the what is it called? You want to
The pH.
increase the pH of the soil. You lime it with calcium carbonate. And he was liming his soil without knowing the pH. I think the first thing every farmer should know is the pH of their soil. Because for vegetables, for instance, the pH range for vegetables is 5.5 to 5. Some people say 5, but I'll say 5.5 to 7.
So that's
That's the
like more
pH.
alkaline.
Yeah, no, it's 7 is neutral. More less acidic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5.5 to 7, that's the pH range for most of these vegetables to thrive. Anything below 5.5 and anything above 7, most of these nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, they are not going to be available for the plants to uptake, even though they are in the soil. Even though you are giving them, the plants will be unable to uptake it because the pH is not at the level it is supposed to be. So the first thing as a farmer, okay, before I go into farming, I'm supposed to know the pH of my soil. I want to know if my soil is too acidic, if it is too basic, then I can decide to amend my soil by either liming or applying sulfur. Also, another important feature of the soil is the soil structure or soil texture. Texture, is my soil
Yeah.
clay? Is it loamy? Is it this? It's important to know these things because, and I know in basic agric, they told us there are three types of soil: clay soil,
Yes.
sandy soil, and loamy soil. But
So,
if you are
yeah.
going deep advanced farming, it does not work like that.
Wow.
It's either my soil is clay sand, sandy loam, clay loam. There are so many what's it called, forms. So you have to know
Category.
the, yes, categories. You have to know the texture of your soil, the pH of your soil, and maybe fertility. It may not be too much. You can
Okay.
decide to add compost and organic matters to improve the soil fertility, but the texture, you have to know it, and also the pH of the soil. So
Yeah,
it's very important.
fantastic.
Yes.
Wow. Fantastic. Ah. But just thinking about it, is there not a way to this is my own thoughts. I'm thinking about it like soil scientists, like agronomists, like yourself, soil scientists. Is there not a way to like maybe have like reagents that people could typically use for testing without having to like have those kits that is sort of expensive? A way to make it much more accessible and affordable. This is just my own thought from this interaction. I think there should be a way to do that, like at the level where a person is in terms of their farming earnings or yields or revenues. People should be able to access those things at a cheaper level, like the basics. Just like when in normal labs, we're able to like do litmus tests and just say, okay, this thing is, if it turns this color, it's acidic. If it turns this color, it's basic. If it turns this color, apply this reagent, it is alkaline. We're able to, so it's neutral. I'm just thinking that scientists should be able to come up with a reagent that makes it much more cheaper and much more affordable. These are my
Of
thoughts
course,
anyway.
there are soil testing kits, like pH meter. This is an
Mhm.
example. This is more like a pH meter.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Take it close to your screen, please.
yeah, but this one is
Okay.
for what? Yeah, it tests
Oh,
the
okay.
pH and the,
Okay.
what is it called, the moisture content of the soil, and also the temperature of the soil. It's affordable. I think it sells for 15 to, maybe depending on the quality and brand, maybe 15 to
Okay.
50,000. You can get a good quality one, so you can always use it to check your soil pH and also water pH and also the, what is it called, temperature and moisture level in the soil. So these things are
Hmm.
available, not very expensive. So maybe a farmer can buy in a community, or in a community, maybe they can contribute money if they don't have much. Just maybe
Okay.
one time they will get something like this, a good brand, a good quality one that is very durable, and they can easily check the pH of their soil, the pH of the water they use, and every other thing to ensure that they are growing their own food sustainably.
So typically, how is this thing used? Do you have to like insert that bottom part into the soil, into water, and you then see the readings from that screen you had showed? I'm just saying, I don't know how it works. Is Ogbe, are you there? Oh, there's a bit of network issue again. I like how Mr. Ogbe came prepared today with his equipment, with the fruits, and just giving us live practicality. So yes, Mr. Ogbe, welcome back. I was
Thank you.
saying that how does that device work? Is it that I have to like submerge that base part into water or into the soil, and I'm able to get the reading from that screen part you had showed us. Is that how it is? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, yeah, you submerge it into the soil or water, depending. Look at this one now. This one is to test
Okay, that base. Okay.
yeah, this particular one now is to test the pH of water and
Okay.
also the EC of water and the
What's
salinity. So
sorry, what's
EC is electrical conductivity. It's more like
like the
you are testing.
electrolyte level? The electrolyte level.
Yeah, no, electric conductivity. You are testing the concentration of solutes to the water. I don't know, it's a bit
Okay,
complicated.
okay, okay. I
Yeah, but,
understand.
yeah, but you open the base and you can see this is the covering. So this is the
Okay.
base.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So you just insert it in the water and you start reading. When you switch it on, let me put it closer. For instance, like
Yeah.
switch it. Is it on? You can see it's reading.
Oh, yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see the figures. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then I
now
can go to the menu and I'll go to the menu and I'll select the particular feature I want. If I want to
you
test for
want.
pH, if I want to test for TDS, if I want to test for EC. So this is how it works.
Wow, beautiful. Ah,
Thank you.
fantastic. Because I feel like at every level where a person is on their maybe entrepreneur journey or business journey, there should be something that is accessible to you as you transition from one level to another. But thank you very much. I was just saying while the network was bad that I'm so happy and delighted as to how hands-on you are. Just seeing you come in with the fruit, with the equipment, just really show some practicality to this conversation. It has made it much more interesting. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So my very next question now is on fertilizers. Organic versus synthetic fertilizers. What are like the pros and cons of each? And how can farmers sort of make like the right choices for their farm in terms of their farm goal and even like for sustainability? What are your takes on both organic and synthetic fertilizers?
Okay, first off, I will start with my personal opinion. I believe in integrated nutrient management, integrating both synthetic and also organic. Because if I decide to use one, it may not give the kind of result I want, both for the environment and for the plants. Now, I'm going to talk about organic fertilizers now. Organic fertilizers can come in different form. Now, we have factory made organic fertilizers, both the granular and the liquid ones. They are available in the market now. But the common ones used by smallholder farmers and basically by most of us that are doing farming are the manure or compost. And again, there's a difference between manure and compost. Most farmers mistake them for the same thing.
Enlighten
Yeah,
us. What's the difference?
okay. Manure now is basically the byproducts or the excreta of animals like cow, horse, pig, rabbits, and the like. Those are manure. Maybe they've been
Yeah,
cured, they've been dried and processed in a way that can be utilized by farms or farmers.
yeah,
Then for compost are basically organic matter that have been composted by either worm. You know, most of the times for people that do composting, they use worms, earthworms, not just normal worms. Earthworms, the red regulars, they help to break down this organic matter. In the process of breaking down the organic matter, these things, the nutrients in the compost or in the organic matter, is now made readily available for the plants. For instance, now manure, you might put manure in your soil because that's what most farmers do. They put manure in their soil and the nutrients in that manure is not available to the plant immediately. Sometimes it might take up to 4 months before the nutrients are being released for the plant. And we know that most vegetables, they take 40 days to 90 days for them to be ready for harvest. Imagine
yeah.
applying manure now. The nutrients in that manure is not going to be available to the plant because it has not been broken down for the plant to uptake it.
To absorb. Yeah.
It takes some time depending now on the biology of your soil. You know, some soil, most of the soil people use in farming in this country are dead. They are dead soil. They are just dead. They are dead. There's no life in them. Now when I say they are dead, there's no living thing in them. There's no biology. For instance, a soil is supposed to have microorganisms. A soil is supposed to have earthworms. One of the ways to test if your soil is actually a living soil, your soil should have earthworms in them, those red regulars. there should be in them is a sign that that
Yeah.
particular soil has life in it. So most of the soil we use are
Mm.
dead. So when they apply this manure, it's going to take time for these microorganisms and earthworms to come there and start decomposting or composting all of this organic matter. So it takes a longer time. But if you are privileged to use organic
Wow. This is just a very interesting conversation. Ordinarily, you would think that you see earthworm and you want to get rid of them. Alas, within the ecosystem of plants, they also serve a viable function or purpose. This is just a very interesting conversation. It's just a very interesting conversation. Hearing him and saying that there are soils that are dead, I would not have thought about it. That okay, um, based off of how degraded a soil has now become, it will be ineffective or inefficient if you use those soils to farm. And I think that would also go back to the point of when we talked about having to do like soil tests. And so sometimes people are wondering, oh, why exactly am I not getting the quantity or the level of yield that I'm supposed to get? Alas, if your soil does not have the necessary nutrients and the necessary nutrient, like you said, whether macro or micro, typically wouldn't do well. And just reiterating what he had talked about, stating that when he had trained a couple of farmers, they were having like maybe 30 yields of bell pepper from a plant. But in the course of his own training with them, and then teaching them much more sustainable ways to go about plant nutrition and even um, hydration as well, they began to see like optimal yield. So from like 30 fruits to like 120. That seems like a whole lot. That seems like a whole lot. That seems like a whole lot. And this conversation, like I said to you guys all the time, I feel like every single time I'm on here, it's just a learning experience for me. He's back now. Welcome back, Mr. Samuel.
Sorry.
Welcome. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Fantastic. So you can go. You can go on. You were still talking about fertilizers.
Yeah, so I was saying one of the benefits of using organic fertilizer is that it is eco-friendly. That is,
Okay.
it's friendly to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to improve the structure and the biology of the soil. It improves the structure, the texture, and the biology of the fertility of the soil. It also provides long-term fertility to the plants. Like I told you, it's not something that it's instantaneous. It helps to regenerate the soil over time. So it provides long-term fertility. Now, some of the disadvantage, I would say, is it disadvantage is that it is a slow releasing fertilizer. It's
Mm-hmm.
very slow in releasing its nutrients. It requires large amounts to get the kind of result you want. You have to use a large quantity of this fertilizer to get the kind of result you want. And most time it is labor friendly. It is labor costly to apply to the soil, because if you are doing, let's assume now you are doing 1 acre of pepper or tomatoes, you have to employ people, a lot of people, to start bringing in the fertilizer, the manure, mixing it in the soil and the like. So it takes it is labor intensive. Then going to the synthetic fertilizer, one of the benefits is that it is fast acting. You can put it today, in a few days time you start seeing results. It is fast acting. It is also what's it called, it also have this it has the precise nutrient formulation you need. For instance, you hear fertilizer like NPK 20-10-10. When you hear NPK
Yes.
20-10-10, it has 20% of nitrogen, 10% of phosphorus,
Yes.
and 10%
Yeah.
calcium. You also
Yes.
hear something like calcium nitrates. They will tell you, okay, this calcium nitrate contains 15.6% of calcium and maybe 30 something percent of nitrogen. So it has precise formulation for what you need. So
Yeah.
for us now that are doing advanced and sustainable farming, that our farming is advanced, where we calculate the particular nitrogen we are going to give to the plants. There are some
Yeah.
humans now. There are people now that they will tell you my food must be 10 calories, 200 calories. They calculate
Yeah.
the this thing they consume. It's the same thing
Yes.
for us here in farming. We can decide to say, okay, maybe the plant requires the nutrient requirement of pepper, for instance. They'll tell you, okay, you need 300 grams of nitrogen, 200 grams of phosphorus, 10 grams of
Yeah.
calcium, 34 grams of potassium. So when you use this synthetic fertilizer, you get precision. It will enable me calculate all of these things and make my own formulation to use on plants. So it helps with precise this thing. The problem now with using of organic synthetic fertilizer is that most of the time it may destroy the structure and the biology of the soil when you abuse it. It may destroy the
Mm.
biology of the soil when it is being abused. And also, most times they are very expensive, very, very, very expensive. And also, it can affect what's it called? I think those are the major two. They are expensive and they can affect biology of the soil, and they can pollute the environment when you abuse it. When they leach
Mm.
into the soil, they'll pollute the environment, and it's already harmful to us humans and also the environment. So those are some of the pros and cons of using between organic and synthetic fertilizer. So my own advice is for farmers to integrate the both of them, because farming is a business. I tell people every time, farming is a business. It's not something you do in on a subsistence level like we've been doing. Now, farming is a business. You are making money out of it. At the same time, while you want to make money, you also put the environment into consideration, and you put the
Yes.
health of the consumers into consideration. So I advise people, if you are going to make your soil, if you are going to use them, use the both of them. For instance, now, the way I work or the way I utilize them, during soil preparation phase, I put enough manure, enough compost. I mix them, both compost and manure, put enough of this in my soil during soil preparation. Also, during soil preparation, I told you from beginning that we have organic fertilizers now that have been made by factories. I utilize
Yes.
those too. So this results in reduced use of synthetic fertilizer. So when I'm using
Yeah.
synthetic, I'm not using much. So there's moderation in using the both of them. So I'm getting the kind
Mm.
of result in terms of productivity, crop yield, and at the same time, the environment is not being affected by what I do. So integrated nutrients management is very key for sustainable farming and also climate smart agriculture. Thank you.
Mm. Fantastic. Fantastic. So my very next question to you is, you worked across different farms, across different locations. From your own experience, how does like the geography, by geography I mean like different locations, and the local soil type sort of influence your approach to nutrition management?
Mm. Okay, different geographical zone in Nigeria have their different climatic condition and also texture of soil.
Yes.
For instance,
Yes.
now those in the Niger Delta,
Down south. Yeah. So guys, I would say that you have to bear with us. I'm thinking is having a bit of network challenge. Just bear with us. But so far, I can say that this conversation. Okay, welcome back.
okay, so those in the southeast they have more of clay soil. Their soil, those red
Okay.
soil. Yeah, so basically, when I work with these farmers, the first thing we look at the texture of the soil and we do soil
Mm-hmm.
amendments. What do I mean by
Okay.
soil amendment? There are things you add to the soil to improve the texture, and
Mm,
also soil amendment may also improve the pH of the soil. For instance, now let's say you have your soil is too sandy, and for sandy soil it results in leaching. When you apply nutrients or fertilizer, it's going to leach into the soil. It's not going to have
yeah.
good water retention. It's not going to retain water. Once you put the water, it's going deep. It's just going. The plant is not taking anything. So that kind of soil, you have to amend it with enough manure, enough compost. That way, you are improving the texture of the soil. You are improving the water retention capacity, and at the same time, you are improving the pH of the soil. So First thing as a farmer, a smallholder farmer or a large scale farmer, is to understand the texture of your soil and the pH. Then you amend accordingly. So
Yeah.
I spoke about pH the other time. If your soil is too acidic, you'll be advised to apply lime, which is calcium carbonate,
Mm-hmm.
or dolomite.
Yeah.
Dolomite, which I think magnesium carbonate. I can't remember. Those are the things you apply to your soil to make it to balance the pH if it is too acidic. While if your
Yeah.
soil is too basic, you apply sulfur or iron
Okay.
sulfate to the soil to balance the pH. So these are some of the small things that farmers are supposed to do at inception, because in farming the soil is the most important part, because that is where holds the life of whatever you are
Mm-hmm.
going to cultivate. That's the
Yes.
beginning of life. Going there,
Yes.
your plant from there. So if there is a problem with the soil, your production is going to be very poor. So the soil has to be
Yes.
fortified, amended to the right texture, the right pH before you plant anything in it. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I remember, because I have an agricultural background. I remember that, we're also taught some things around crop rotation in terms of having to like sort of leave lands for them to like fallow a bit so that they regain nutrients, or then plant certain kinds of uh, crops to then help the farm get certain nutrients. So my next question goes to us. What is like the role of crop rotation and intercropping? What role does it play in managing soil nutrients? And how can farmers?
Hello?
Okay, so we both went out for a bit. So my next question is, what role does crop rotation, intercropping, plays in managing soil nutrients, and how can farmers incorporate this into their practice strategically?
Okay, crop rotation and allowing the land to fallow, basically it helps what's it called? It helps the soil gather more nutrients, and also if there are insects or disease that for instance, now I planted tomatoes, and maybe tomatoes now is being affected by Fusarium oxysporum, which causes Fusarium wilt, and they are in the soil. So the next season, I'm not supposed to plant tomatoes there, or any plant in the nine-shade family, the tomato family. Those include tobacco, peppers, eggplants, and the likes. I'm not supposed to plant anything there. So I can decide to say, okay, since I've planted tomatoes here and the tomatoes was disease and this disease affect tomatoes like Fusarium, instead of planting tomatoes, I can decide to rotate it and plant cabbage, for instance, because I know, okay, it's difficult for Fusarium to affect cabbage. So I plant
Mm,
cabbage. Those are the crop rotation or allowing the land to fallow. But for me, I don't think it is feasible in the current state of the country, because where is the land to start doing crop rotation? Those are stuff that is being done in the olden days. For us here on the farm, we have just 1 hectare of land, 1 hectare, and we cannot leave the land to
mm,
fallow after producing. After one cycle, we say we want to leave the land to fallow or want to grow something else. Our forte here on the farm is bell peppers and habaneros. So we cannot say we want to allow the land fallow or want to rotate it on that crop. So what I advise farmers to do is always, that's why I said start your planting by fortifying your soil, by amending your soil with the right nutrients, and also balancing the usage of both synthetic and what's it called, organic
organic.
fertilizers.
Yes.
Because in the synthetic, you are giving the nutrients the plants need. Like I told you, we have just 1 hectare of land, and we have just 1 hectare of land,
Wow.
and we have just 1 hectare of land, and we have just
This has just been a very interesting conversation. So I'm thinking that there's a bit of network glitch, but dear viewers and audience, I hope that you're gleaning a lot from this interaction today. Okay, welcome back.
Thank you. So for us on the farm, we do most of these calculations. So I always advise farmers to use a combo of both, because crop rotation is not sustainable and feasible for us at the moment in the country. We have limited land and we have more people. So you amend your soil, you give them the right nutrients, and also use integrated nutrient management. That's the way to achieve food security in our country.
Mm, beautiful. Fantastic.
Thank you.
So my very next question to you at this time is, you know, when you were talking about nutrients, you had talked about some of like the visible signs that we could see and then say, oh, this would most likely be the nutrient that is lacking, and this is what needs to be added, right? So for many farmers that rely on just visual signs to detect um, nutrient problem, how can you sort of guide them to help them accurately read these signs? For anybody that is like a newbie right now, how can you accurately guide them to be able to feasibly say, okay, this is this, and not mistake a particular sign for something else?
Hmm. So basically, it's always you must always see these things. This is the only way to identify them. I know some people use computer, they take pictures and go on the internet. It's still the same thing. They have to be sight. You have to see it. That's the major
Yeah.
thing. You have to, so the way I advise farmers is crop scouting. You scout your farm twice or three times in a week.
Oh
So when I
wow.
notice now, I do scouting. I do crop scouting twice in a week because the farm is, of
Mm,
course, is a big farm. I don't have the strength to start going around every day. I do it twice a week. When I go to my plants, I look at the plants. Okay, I already know the deficiency symptoms in my head. I already
yes,
know it.
yes.
So when I do it, I note it down. Oh, this is phosphorus deficiency. This is nitrogen deficiency. So this way, it enables me act fastly to cure
Mm,
or curtail, control those things. For instance, now yesterday I was scouting the farm. I was scouting one of the greenhouses, and I noticed that there were almost a million aphids on three plants, and I
wow.
was shocked because, to the best of my knowledge, I've been able to control these things. Like, where did they come from again? Immediately, I acted on it. I used IPM. IPM simply means integrated pest management. I first used the
Mm,
cultural method. I used my hand to start killing them because it was just three plants, even though they were much. After killing them, immediately I went into the farm store. I got neem oil. I went there. I used my pressure sprayer, not the normal knapsack, pressure sprayer, to flush the remaining ones I
yeah.
could not kill away from the plants. And that way, I have solved the problem. Imagine if I was not scouting my plants, or if I didn't have the knowledge that, okay, this
Yeah.
is insects. We have to know the basics. We have to know the common insect. We have to be able to identify the common insect or the common disease of the plants we are cultivating. If you are doing tomatoes,
Mm,
I should expect the farmers to be able to know, okay, these are the common, for tomatoes now, you know that we have white fly that affects tomatoes, we have
yeah.
tuta absoluta, we have spider mites, we have leaf
Mm-hmm.
miners, we have Fusarium wilt, we have Verticillium wilt, we have bacteria wilt, we have septorial leaf spots, we have bacteria canker, we have many of these things. So as a farmer, before you venture into any particular vegetables, you're supposed to be able to know that, okay, these are the common diseases or pests that affect these vegetables, and these are the ways to control these things. Because if you don't have these things, you're already helpless as a farmer. And most times,
Mm,
many people get into agriculture, they don't have any of this knowledge. That's why it's important you get an agronomist that has the knowledge and experience, or you get a consultant that will help you when you see something abnormal on your farm. You can easily call your agronomist. If the person is close by, you can come, or your consultant. Or if they are far away, you can do a close-up video or pictures and you send to the person. The person tell you, oh, this is what is affecting your plants, and this is what you have to apply. This is the time you have to apply, because it's not just about knowing what is affecting your plants or knowing how to control it. For instance, now there are times you spray pesticide. It's not every pesticide. You don't spray pesticide when the sun is up. If not, you are going to it's going to cause phytotoxicity to your plants.
mm,
You don't spray pesticide when it's sunny. You don't spray it when it is windy. And also there are different type of pesticide. I'm sorry, I'm deviating to pesticide now. There are different kind of pesticide.
no, I
You have
think
the
that's like the next question I was going to ask you as well. So it's fine. It's
yeah,
fine.
you have the contact, you have the systemic, you have the stomach action. So you have to understand the pest itself. You have to understand the life cycle of the pest you are trying to control. Are they sucking insects? Are they showing insects? Are they? There are so many factors you have to put into consideration. So before I draft out, for instance, now I consult for people. Before I draft out when you tell me, oh Sam, look at my plant, is having this, is having that. Okay, I'll have to draft out an IPM plan for you to control these
Mm.
things. I'll tell you, okay, apply this in the morning, apply this in the evening, apply this today. Today is Friday. Apply this on Friday. Apply this on Monday. There are so many rules and principles in these things. So
Technique.
once you miss
Yeah.
any, it's going to affect your plan. There was a farm I consulted for, and I think they were having issues with trips on their bell pepper. And
Mm.
I told them to spray Decis. Decis is an insecticide that contains an active ingredient called detamethrin. Spray this Decis
Mm.
first thing in the morning when you wake up by 7. Spray it before the sun comes up, and spray 4 ml per knapsack, 16-liter knapsack. That was the instruction I gave to the workers before I left. I went there 2 days after for a plant that were thriving, and I got to the farm. All the plants were gone. They were burnt, like they poured acid on them. And I was shocked.
Oh.
This is somebody millions of naira that you people have burnt. What happened? The workers told me, now the chemical you give us spray and I cause am. I was like, chemical you give us spray. So they were now shifting the blame on me. Now the chemical you see
Yeah.
me with spray with. So I didn't argue with them. First, I asked them, okay, what did you spray? They said the chemical you gave me. At what dosage? They said they use 8 ml per knapsack. And I told them 4 ml per knapsack. They use 8 ml. Okay, what time did you spray? I sprayed in the afternoon. I say for morning, I no quick wake up. I don't tire, blah, 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 blah. They sprayed in the afternoon. That was how that man lost millions of naira because of management issue. So you see, all of these things are very important in farming. You have to get it right. The time you spray, the
Mm.
dosage, what you spray, everything is important. If you spray the wrong thing and it will just burn your plant, kill your plant. Even the same thing for fertilizer. Since we are talking about plant nutrition, if you apply your synthetic fertilizer wrongly, it's going to burn your plant. It's going to end your production. There was a time I gave the workers. There was a farm I used to work with. I gave the workers instruction to apply NPK 15-15-15. Apply. There's a way you apply it. You don't apply it close to the roots or the stem. They applied it wrongly and it burns an entire tomato greenhouse. Everything gone
Wow.
because they applied it wrongly. So farming itself has principles that you must adhere to if you are going to do sustainable farming. You adhere to this principle and you get good results. Thank you.
Wow. Fantastic. And that question has just taken us to too many places, and that's like a really good point you shared there. I think the basics is people need to know that there's a place for knowledge acquisition
Of
in
course.
this practice. Yes, and there's also the place for proper coaching, consulting on this journey. You can't do it by yourself. Taking advantage of expert opinion or expert counsel, there's also that part to it as well. And I was going to ask you to touch a bit about on pest management, specifically for like vegetables. What are like the key um, practical steps to also help mitigate or control pests for vegetables, specifically for the vegetables that you grow? That's like for tomato, pepper, cabbage, and lettuce. What are some of the simple practices that anybody that's growing these things, listening to us today, or that watch the replay, can then sort of practice?
Okay. There are so many things to say, but we'll start with this. Responsible use of pesticide. Nigerian farmers should learn responsible use of pesticides so that they will not kill us consumers. Even though I'm a farmer,
Mm,
I don't grow everything. I still consume things from other farms. I don't grow everything. Most farmers, they will spray a chemical today and they are going to harvest that same day or the next day. And most of these chemicals they contain carcinogens. They contain things that can cause health issues to the consumers. And
yeah.
I don't know, maybe they don't care or they know that these things are harmful to the consumer and to the environment and they are still spraying it. They still use it because for them, I want to make money. This insect is disturbing me. Let me spray immediately so that it will kill them before I harvest the next day and sell to consumers. And these things are causing diseases in our current day Nigeria. They abuse chemicals a lot. There should be rules, there should be responsible use of these chemicals. Another thing is integrated pest management, reduced use of pesticide. Integrated pest management, it borders on three main things: cultural or
Okay.
physical, biological, and chemical. Those are the three ways to control, three methods we use to control pests. For instance, now I'm going to give you an instance now. When I noticed that this, I saw trips and aphids rather when I was doing my scouting yesterday on my bell pepper plants. The first thing I initiated was what? The cultural. I tried
Yeah.
to kill the manually with plants. I was able to kill most of them. Like I told you, I'm not exaggerating. The number of insects, of aphids on that is up to millions on those plants. On that line, they were much. You see them everywhere. I killed the one I could kill with my hands, and we don't use kill in farming. I controlled the one I could control with my hands. And the next thing I did was to apply neem oil. Neem oil now is an organic, and what's it called? Pesticide or
That's the
insecticide. Yeah. Top them, we call them botanicals because they are extracts from plants. We call them botanicals. So next thing, I applied neem oil. I did not just apply neem oil. You see, now I'm taking it to another principle. It's not about just spraying the neem oil or applying it on the plants. I use pressure because those insects, they are soft body insects. So pressure from the pressure sprayer was able to wash them off the leaf effortlessly. Some people use just knapsack, just spray the knapsack. The knapsack will just touch the plants, and that's all. The insects are still there. It has not controlled them. So by using the pressure sprayer, I washed all of those. In short, it was like I was washing clothes. I was taking my time on one plant. I would use the pressure sprayer, flush it. I'll wait for the plants to stand erect again. I'll check again. If I see another one, I'll flush it. And this way now, I have controlled the, what's it called, the aphids on these plants. Now, coincidentally, what I did not work or is not being effective. I can to use chemical. I can say, okay, since they are aphids, let me get a pesticide or an insecticide that contains imidacloprid, or I get an insecticide that contains emamectin benzoate or spirochetamate. I'll get these things and I'll apply it. Now, in the usage of pesticide, there's what is called PHI. If you buy any pesticide today, you see it on the bottle. Let me get one from. I don't have anyone here. Okay, I have two pesticide here.
Okay.
No, but the writings are small. Just give me a sec. Let me get from my store.
So, guys, just bear with us. I like how the session is very practical inclined. Samuel wants to go get us a bottle of pesticides so we get to see what it typically looks like and then give us more illustrations as to these things. I like how today's I like how today's interview has been very hands-on, very practical, and this conversation has just been also a learning experience for me. I want to believe that you, the audience, or the listener, it's also like a learning experience for you, whether or not you're a farmer or you're planning to venture into farming. It's just interesting how, regardless of the area or the aspect of life, there's just that learning phase where you have to be someone that is given to continuous learning. You just can't say, "Oh, I've learned this and that's it." There's no need for me to uh, keep at it, taking record, observation, making changes. So Samuel is back. Welcome back. Thank you.
So I don't know if you can see this. There's
Okay, yeah.
PHI, but this one now they didn't write it as PHI. They wrote waiting period. The waiting period
Yeah.
here is 14 days. Can you see the 14 days?
Mm.
Then
Yeah.
there's REI, means re-entry interval, but we'll leave that one for now. Let's focus on the PHI. That's the waiting period. PHI simply means pre-harvest interval. So now
Oh
this one
wow.
is saying 14 days. So it means if I spray this particular pesticide today, I am not going to harvest anything from that farm for the next
So
2 weeks
14.
till 14 days.
Mm,
So that way, the pesticide and the what is it called? The active ingredient in it, as the residue has subsided, is not going to have
yeah,
effect on anybody that consumes it. But most farmers
yeah,
now, they will spray something like this today and they will harvest in the next day or 2 days time, and will consume these things and will start having health issues. So
oh
each
my
of these
god.
pesticides have pHI. There's one here with me now. The pHI for this one, this is Belt Expert for vegetable, is
Mm,
7 days. Only that the writings are small. It's 3 days. So if I know, okay, I need to harvest by Tuesday, I can spray this one today. So by Tuesday, I'll be able to harvest. So for me as a farmer, I am different from the regular farmer. I am very conscious of what I apply to my plants. I am very conscious of my environment. I am conscious of the impact of these things on the environment and also the consumer. So I don't want to give, because I eat from this too. I collect peppers, I
yeah,
take it home. I don't want to do anything that is going to be harmful to my health or to the health of my customers. So it's very important we understand these basics of pest management. Integrated, you integrate, use mostly for us on the farm, we use mostly biofungicide, which are organic. Organic now is divided into two. We have the
yeah.
biological organic pesticide and we have the botanical organic pesticide. Biological organic pesticide simply means they have life in them. Most of the time we use fungicide, like this one now is called Fix It. It's a biofungicide.
Yeah.
It contains an entomopathogenic fungi called Bovaria bassiana. So what it does is that it's a
Mm,
living organism that acts on insects. So when the insects feeds on that plant, it's going to, of course, the living organism has entered their system. It's going to kill these insects, and your farm is going to be free of pests. So we have this. What we do
wow.
now, they are in a dormant state. What I do now is I activate the formation of conidia, since it's a living organism. For people now, let me give a life example. For people that do baking, we use yeast. Yeast is a fungi. We use it
Yes.
for baking bread,
Yeah.
puff puff, masa, and the like. So what they do most times, they will tell you to activate your yeast. You activate it with sugar and warm water. So it's similar thing for
Yeah.
this. This is a living organism. So we activate it. It's also a fungi. We activate it before we use it on the farm. So these are some of the things we use. Then the botanicals are plant extract like neem oil,
What do
garlic
you
oil.
activate it with? Warm water. What do you activate that with?
This
The
one, the
fix.
way I activate this one is the Bavaria. The ingredients now, the active ingredient in it is called the organism in it is called Bavaria bassiana. So the way I activate
Mm-hmm.
it is, if I'm to spray tomorrow, I will mix it with water, normal water. It does not have to be warm or cold. I'll
Temperature
mix it
water.
with normal
Okay.
water. Just I'll make a slurry. Maybe I'll get this one container, for instance. I'll get this
Okay.
one container, I'll just pour it inside, just shake it, mix it, and leave it. So by tomorrow when I come, it can start forming spores because it's a microorganism, so it can start reproducing. So I'll just come, put it in my
Yeah.
knapsack, and that's how I use it. So it does not have any residue on the fruit, and it does not affect the human health negatively. So
Fantastic.
like I
Fantastic.
said, like I said, we have the two types of the organic, the biological, which I just explained now, which are
Yeah.
living organisms. We have the botanicals. The botanicals are something like this. This name oil. It
Oh
contains is
wow.
an extract from neem tree, which people call dongoyaro. It's an extract.
Oh.
There's also carrageen. There's garlic extract. So basically, anything you extract from plants to control pests on your farm is called a botanical and it's organic. So we use
Mm,
this to and it's cheaper than the regular pesticide. Imagine now a
mm,
bottle of this 1 liter container, and this cost about 9,000 or 10,000, I can't remember. And I can use this for up to for many times. I can use this for many times. But this particular one you see here now, for instance, this Belt Expert, you can see it's small. This is just 100 mil, and this is 1 liter.
mm-hmm.
That's 1,100 mil. And this one now is costing, I think, 5,000 or 6,000. You can see the difference in price. this is cheaper than this one.
Yeah.
And most times, best to use this
Yeah.
one for preventive measures. I don't want the disease to come, so I have a spraying
Mm.
schedule. I'm most of the organic and less of the chemical. So this is how I grow my vegetables.
Mm. Fantastic. You just made mention of something that I find interesting. Uh, just like the same way in our health, there's also like preventive measure and there's curative, right?
Yeah.
So you've talked about preventive. You don't want the disease to even come. So in terms of the integrated pest management that you talked about, for preventive, is there like a schedule to which farmers you advise farmers to sort of apply, even though they're not seeing any signs of pest infestation? Is there like a schedule, like, oh, maybe once in 3 weeks? Just the same way you said you scout your farm 3 times a week. Is there like a schedule for that as well?
Yes, yes. For the farms I consult for and people I work with, I draft out a schedule. First of all, if you are coming to me for
Okay.
consultation, you want to consult, I'll draft out a schedule for you. Okay, apply this. For me, twice or 3 times a week. That's when we spray. And we use all of this organic twice
Okay.
or 3 times in a week. So I draft out a schedule for them to follow religiously to prevent pests from attacking their plants.
Fantastic. So the way that people follow religiously irrigation, especially when you're farming in arid places, they also have to practice uh, preventive measures in terms of pest control and management as well.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Speaking of trainings, I see that you've trained over 200, youth in vegetable farmings and things like that. Uh, how exactly um, is this done for you? And also, how could anybody listening to you right now that wants to be part of that, how can they join your training, join your classes? What's the avenue to do that?
Okay. Um, so most of the people I've trained, I did it virtually, and if I'm being sincere with
Wow.
myself, I don't think the virtual one was really sustainable for me. So I stopped.
Mm,
It was difficult for me because I'm working on the farm. Now I'm on the farm. There are a lot of issues I'm to attend to. Before I get home, I'm tired. And so most of the time I don't even have time to do the training as I should
mm-hmm,
because there's so many activities done on the farm. There are so many problems. Today is trips, tomorrow is AFI, today is this, that, many problems. So before I'm done with it, I'm tired. I am mentally exhausted. I am physically tired. I just go home and sleep. I don't really have time for the online stuff. So I noticed that I was not really doing this thing in a way that is very effective and efficient. So instead of wasting
okay,
people's time, I just stopped. Started physical training. Although the one
okay,
I'm doing now, I have 8 people on the farm I'm training at the moment. Um,
okay,
uh, 2 guys and 6 ladies. No, 4 ladies and 4 guys. I'm training on the farm at the moment.
okay.
I think this one is sustainable for me because they are learning life. So whatever I'm doing,
Live,
they're
yes.
seeing it, they're asking questions, everything is happening. So when I leave the farm, I know I'm done with the farm. I'm going home to rest. Not like I'll leave the farm, I'll still go home, I still have people I'm to train online. So it's very difficult for me. But I've been able to train
Okay,
lots of people virtually, which some of them have started their own farm and some of them are doing well, some are still struggling. Of course, that is the journey. But
yeah,
yeah, for people that are interested, I think I'm working on something. I think
okay,
I will start something this month
okay,
to do a proper course, a proper visual course where I do a
yeah,
detailed video of most each of the module. For instance, how to sow seed. I'm going to do a detailed video. Not when you go on YouTube. Most of the time when I
yeah,
started, I always go on YouTube. I always go online to learn. Most of those things they teach there, they are not applicable to us in this country. They are not
yes, yeah,
go and you see all of those white people, foreigners, what they teach is not applicable in the country. If you do it, you are just
yeah,
going to get a very bad result. And I
yeah,
found out that okay, let me do something online, let me do something that is sustainable, even though it's going to be a paid course because I'm going to spend money, get a videographer, work on many things. They will do a detailed video of how to sow seeds the Nigerian way, how to,
mm,
how to manage your seedlings because even seedlings too in trees, their management plan, fertilizer plan, and IPM too. I'll do that on the
wow,
video. how to transplant, how to prepare your soil, how to amend your soil, how to prune, how to trellis, basic things, all of these basic things. I'm working on a course so that when I get that course, it's just going to be there. Anybody can go and access it when you pay. It's not something like
Yeah.
I will come, start calling me, I want to do this. It's just stressful. I don't want it. So I want something that will be
Mm,
there. I can always go to and then go and take the course. And also, I still do physical training. Although, like I
okay.
said, this one I'm doing currently is a free training. I'm training 8 people.
Okay.
Um, but the next one, of course, is going to be paid because it requires a lot of effort. So I'm going to do a
Okay.
training, better training than this. But I don't think I want to take more than 10 people at a time because the farm is still small and it's not like I have
Okay.
enough hands to deal with these things for now. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. I like how you have sort of from a standpoint of self-awareness, just knowing what is viable and feasible for you based off of your schedule, and also wanting to maximize your energy as a person as well, and just saying, okay, I think having like a full fleshed out um, virtual course that people can take, and then have all the details there without having me. I'll create it once, and subsequently people can always access it regardless of where commend that initiative. That's a really good way to spread the word and also get this learning into the hands of so many people as much as possible. So this is like my last question to you today. Just sort of looking ahead, what innovations or shifts do you see in plant nutrition, particularly in Nigeria and far wide, just in Africa? They should start preparing for to just stay ahead in terms of farming sustainably. What changes or shifts or innovations do you foresee coming ahead? And how do you think that the African or the Nigerian farmers should position themselves to leverage on those things?
Okay. I think one is the automated fertigation. Although we do fertigation already, a few of us do fertigation. Not like the point you start going to give.
What is fertigation?
Fertigation is a technique or a method of giving fertilizer and water at the same time. So we
Okay,
we
like
we
drip.
have a chance. Yeah, it will just spread more like through a pipe, and it will just go instead of going to the plants. The conventional way we do it. You go to each plant and apply
Yeah,
fertilizer, which is labor
yeah,
intensive. But for us on the farm,
yeah.
we have a central tank. We use water soluble fertilizers. We mix it. We just
Okay,
send the nutrients, and it goes to the entire 10 greenhouses. So nobody is going to apply fertilizer individual plants.
yeah,
So it's one technique farmers should adopt, especially when you're a small farmer or you don't have plenty. Another problem we have in the country is management issue. When you employ somebody to work on your farm, they will just do it anyhow. They are not really passionate. They are just there for the money. So, but if you have these things in place, it will be easy for you to manage your production. Maybe before, assuming I have a 9 to 5, for instance, or maybe
yeah,
the person that wants to go into farming have a nine to five job. Maybe before you go to your place of work in the morning, you can easily just fertigate, send your fertilizer, water your
yeah,
farm, send your water just on it 10 minutes, because most of the time it's 10 to 20 minutes you are done with watering. You can see how easy it is. I can decide to mix everything
yeah,
10 minutes after my plant. Maybe I on the irrigation, I on this stuff, and I'm going to beat. Before I come back, if I'm
yeah,
using an automated system, I time it 10 minutes, it goes off exactly 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, it goes off. Then I know, okay, I've
yeah,
attended to my plant, I've gone to work. When I come back in the evening, I do the same thing, I water my distance. So one of the ways is to adopt most of this technology, automated irrigation and fertigation system. And
yeah,
also, I think Nigerian farmers, most especially the Nigerian government, we should shift from the use of this NPK every time. I'm not saying they are not important, but there are also other important nutrients that are needed by the plants, especially for fruit quality. Especially if you are doing
yeah,
fruiting crops, pepper, tomatoes, cucumber, watermelon,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
fruit like
yeah,
the oranges. Like, you need some of these things to help. Aside the fact that they help with your production, they also make your fruits nutrient dense. Because most times you
Mm,
go to the market, they will tell you an average pepper like this. For instance, they will say it has maybe 150 gram calories, 150
yeah.
calories. Or I don't know how they calculate it. And you are growing these peppers. When they check it, they are not even going to get up to 80, because it does not have the sufficient nutrients needed for the sufficient nutrients a average bell pepper should have. So it's not dense,
Yeah.
it does not have nutrients. It's just there, it's just colorful. But once it has that
Mm,
nutrients, your fruit have to be nutrient dense. So we have to utilize this fertilizer. And also, while utilizing this synthetic fertilizer, also use the organic option, because these are
yeah.
the things. When you use organic fertilizer, most of the time you use it in the right quantity, your fruits are going to be nutrient dense and they are going to be safe for consumption. So all of these things, the government should stop sharing NPK. It annoys me every time I see them doing that. Every time they will say we have supported farmers. Let me even use Plateau State for instance. I think earlier last year or middle last year, they said they are supporting farmers and they were sharing NPK 2010. In my head, is this NPK 2010? Is this what is going to grow the vegetable from start to finish? And they will say we have helped farmers.
Mm,
We have transcended beyond that era of sharing NPK 2010. It annoys me badly when I see them say they are supporting farmers with fertilizer. What fertilizer are you giving to the farmer? You are giving NPK 2010 or 15 15 15. Some even give urea. Imagine me giving my bell pepper urea
mm.
from starting to ending. They are not
No, it's
going
going
to
to
produce.
ruin it.
They will not
Yeah.
fruit at all. They will not fruit. They will just be growing leaf, because urea is about 46% of nitrogen. Nothing else is in it.
Yeah.
So we need to do better. The government need to do better. If you are going to support farmers, support them holistically. Support them holistically. If you want to support a farmer, give them everything they will need in terms of fertilizer. If you are giving them fertilizer, give them fertilizer that contains both nitrogen, phosphorus,
Mm-hmm.
potassium, calcium, magnesium, everything. Then you can boldly say that okay, I have supported this farmer with fertilizer. If you are going to support with pesticide, give them pesticide. If you are going, for me, especially here on the plateau, I think if the government has to support farmers, is to get tractors to plow their lands. We have huge land here on the plateau, and you see a farmer, most of the farmers, they will be doing the small small portions, because they don't have the manpower to start tilling a large plot of land. And our terrain is rocky and hard. Provide, if you are going
Yeah.
to support farmers, provide these plow or tillers, these tractors, to come and plow the entire place, farming community. That way you have done something that is sustainable. So it will be easy for farmers to say, okay, they don't plow this thing for me, let me just plant my seed, let me plant my irish potato, let me plant my tomatoes. It's easier for them that way. That way now we are increasing food production in the country, not the ones you say you give them one bag of fertilizer, and not, I don't even think 50% of farmers on the plate to get this fertilizer. You give them one bag of fertilizer and you say,
Mhm.
okay, is it one bag of fertilizer that will produce that quantity of food that we need? It does not work that way. Another thing they have to do, especially during the dry season, is to provide dams and passage of this water, so that each farming community will have access to water. Most people during the dry season, they don't farm at all. They don't do any farming because there's no water. So if the government can provide a tractor to plow the land and an artificial dam for people to have access to water, then that is the major support farmers need, because water is a major issue for many farmers during the dry season. Thank you.
Wow, wow, beautiful. But these points that you made are very salient points, and they're like common challenges that I've also heard that um, farmers go through. On the plateau there, are there like farming cooperatives that helps? Yes, people come together and they have access to hire tractors and things like that on the plateau. Is that available, like farmers, cooperative unions and things like that?
Yeah, there are farmers cooperative, but I don't belong to anyone, if I'm being sincere. For me, I don't know. I don't know what they do
Okay.
there. I think I've attended, when I came to the place today, I used to attend one in Bokos. I think that should be a Mabel in Bokos. I go there, they just sit down, discuss, discuss, discuss. I'm not seeing any action. Forgive me, I'm not seeing actions. They discuss, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. Many of those discussions, I'm burning money from just to Bokos. once in a week. I just said, "Oh, this thing is not working for me." And moreover, most of the people, they are old people. They are not young people. They are old people. And also with regards to tractor, ASTC is it used to be active in Jos, but it's no longer active on the Plateau. I don't know. They are the ones that have those kind of tractors that are needed
Wow.
to help farmers grow food sustainably. But I don't know if they are still active. I sincerely do not have an idea. So yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I think that it's just been quite an interesting conversation and interaction with you today. I must say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us on the podcast today, Mr. Sam Ogbe. It has just been such a pure delight engaging and interacting with you today on the farm. And so I remember you saying that you do a bit of consulting and also for farmers, right? Consulting for farmers. So for anyone that wants to engage you on that consulting level, how do they access you? What's like the easiest point for them to get in touch with you? So that anyone on this call that is Abuja or Nasarawa and they need your services, how do they connect with you, Mr. Sam?
Okay, they can always send a WhatsApp message to me via my WhatsApp number, which is 08039943198. I always prefer WhatsApp because most of the time I'm still on the farm. I don't take calls. So, but when I'm done with farm work, I always respond to my messages. So they can send a message on WhatsApp or follow me on social media, Instagram, on Facebook via the name Farm Natics. Farm Natics is spelled FARMNATICS. Thank you.
Fantastic. So, guys, you heard it. If you need the services of Sam, whether agronomy consultation or even integrated pest management, please feel free to connect with him on WhatsApp. And also, if you're someone that is also conversant with WhatsApp, you could also reach him on LinkedIn. His name on LinkedIn is Sam Ogbe as well. So, Mr. Sam, thank you so much for uh, your engagement today. It's been quite interesting. I think this would be like your parting shot. What would you say to the average Nigerian youth that thinks that there's nothing within agriculture for them? What would be your advice to the average Nigerian youth, the average African youth that thinks that there's nothing viable for agriculture for them?
Dear African youths, agriculture is the new gold in town. It is the future,
Wow.
it's the present, and it is the
Mhm.
past because we have many people. Population is increasing. There's demand for food, but unfortunately, we are not able to meet this demand. And it will shock you to know that there is money in farming. So when you talk down on farmers or look at us like, oh, you say farmers are wretched, farmers are poor, farmers are illiterate. These are bad or wrong perspective. There's money in farming. Farmers are not poor people. I am not an illiterate. I am not wretched. I am not poor. I'm not dirty. This is the source of my livelihood. And it will shock you to know that the money you make in a year from doing your normal 9 to 5, you can make it in 3 months from farming. So farming, sustainable farming is the goal, and we need youth in agriculture because we have the energy, we have the creativity to change the agricultural industry in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. Thank you.
Fantastic. I love your parting shots that we have the energy, we have the grit, we have the creativity as well to reshape the narrative of the agricultural sector within Nigeria and Africa at large. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Sam. It's just been a pure delight engaging with you for the last 90 minutes. Thank you so much for
Thank you
your
very much.
time and sharing your expertise with us on the podcast.
Yeah, bye.